This video will demonstrate my method of resizing rifle cases. Straight-walled handgun cases can be sized with a carbide sizing die, which does not require lubricant. Bottleneck rifle cases cannot. You have to lubricate the cases or they will be stuck in the die and really give you a bad time. There are many lubricants. Hornady One-Shot works really well, but it's expensive. I have heard that some brands of motorcycle chain lube are essentially the same thing in a much lower per unit cost. I have not confirmed that yet. So what you do is, I've got this plastic loading block here, which I found for $1 at a gun show many years ago, and a grocery sack to protect the floor. I'm using the back of the loading block with the shorter cups for the cartridge cases to get maximum exposure. And you line them up and you hose them at an angle so it also goes inside the case mouth. Hose them pretty good. I don't think I've ever yet used too much lube. I've often used not enough. Make sure you get both sides. Now, having hosed the cases, they should be good for several minutes. Or actually quite a long time. The lube is supposed to dry to some kind of wax, or semi-dry. Now here's the Lee Loadmaster again, with the Lee No. 2 shell plate for the 45 ACP, 30-06, 308 family, most of the Mauser cartridges. These cases happen to be 8mm Mauser, 7.92 by 57 Mauser, left over from some match in which I used my VZ24. And I only have one die in here, which is the Hornady. I think these were my very first set of dies ever, many years ago. And I haven't broken the decapping pin on this yet. Take the case, put it in there. There's more force required for a full-length rifle cartridge resizing than there is for a straight-wall handgun case in a carbide die. Now, what happens is the die squishes the case down to a size, we're talking thousandths of an inch, which will successfully chamber in the firearm without jamming. There's also a bulb inside here which expands the case mouth slightly on the way out. As it goes in, it also compresses the neck up in this part of the die. And then as it's pulled out, it goes through the sizing ball twice. Here's an example of that. Yeah, here we go. Now the Lee dies, they use a very long taper. You get onto the Lee site, leeprecision.com, and you can see they're advertising about the long taper expander they use, whereas other brands of dies use a ball or a rounder thing with a lot less taper. Does the same thing. But that's why you want to hose the lube in at an angle so you get some inside the case neck also, because it can get stuck there too. So, on the way up, it squishes the case back down. On the way back down, the expander ball pulls out the case mouth just enough to snugly grip a new bullet. And of course you're also decapping the case at the same time. The die is adjusted so the bottom of the die body kisses the shell plate, or the shell holder, when the ram is at full extension. And if you're only using this one die, which is what I do, you can run the die down a little farther so the ram actually hits that die. That way you know you're getting a full-length resize. Now you can get on the internet and look up the pros and cons of full-length sizing versus neck sizing. I always full-length size. That's the way I do it. Neck sizing may be right for your application. You need to research that and make your own decision. Neck sizing is just resizing the neck of the case and maybe a bit of the shoulder, so it can fit again in the very same individual firearm chamber it came out of. I prefer full-length sizing for better feeding, and also it's kind of necessary for an autoloader like my M1 Garand. This is going in a beat-up old VZ24 Czech Mauser, so probably I could get away with neck sizing, but I'm doing it this way. When you're resizing rifle cases, you want to inspect them for cracks and splits, especially in the neck area. And you also want to look for a brighter than usual ring right here at the base. If you really work one hard, you can separate the base from the rest of the case. It'll rip that thing right off there, either in the die or in the chamber, and that's really hard to fix. But the most common failure of a rifle case is a split in the neck. That's about it for sizing rifle cases. A bottleneck rifle case like this is going to be the same whether it's 8mm Mauser or 30-06 or 243 Winchester or 300 Weatherby Magnum, as long as you're using the right dies and using enough lube so it doesn't get stuck in the case. And as long as you've got the die adjusted correctly so it's giving as much sizing as you want. A full-length size will make that case fit in any industry standard chamber, is the theory. Whereas neck sizing is usually only good for individual firearms, the same firearm that it came out of. So research those two options and see which one's best for you. Thirbligs are a unit of time and work. The phrase was coined by the Gilbreths, who did work time studies. And they just made an anagram of their own name. When you are doing this, you want to make a rhythm. You want to put your various things in various places. You want to put your supply of cases to be sized over here. You have a catch bin there, or you're sitting over on this side. That's going to be different for everyone. But you want a rhythm like so. And this will get a lot more work done in a lot less time.